Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at an event in Utah.
And right now at 5 o'clock, we continue breaking news out of Utah. Podcaster and Republican activist Charlie Kirk is dead after being shot during a debate. President Trump just making that announcement.
And we know the search is still on for the gunman, and someone has been taken into custody, but it is not the shooter. We have live team coverage with reaction coming from our nation's capital, including the latest from the president.
But let's begin with our Janice Fernandez with the latest breaking details on this one from our newsroom. Janice.
Calvin Nicole, Kirk was on stage at Utah Valley University at an event he was hosting when he was hit by a single gunshot. President Trump moments ago writing this, saying that Kurt has died. He made this post on the Truth Social platform where he said the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth of the United States of America better than Charlie. He went on to say that he was loved and admired by all, especially by him. Now, we are getting brand new video of the shooting and the moments leading up to it. We want to warn you, though, that you may find this disturbing. We are choosing not to show you the video of the shooting itself, but what you're about to hear, the gunfire and then the crowd reacting.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Oh my God.
Obviously, the crowd then rushing from the scene, and just after that gunfire, everyone running in different directions, trying to get to safety. Kurt was bleeding heavily, according to witnesses and from those on the scene. It appeared that he was shot in the neck. And immediately before this shooting happened, Kurt was taking questions from an audience member about mass shootings and gun violence. The shooter is said to have opened fire about 200 yards away from where Kirk was speaking, a witness explaining what they saw.
So the question was about shooters, and before Charlie Kirk could pick up the mic again, that's when the shot happened.
And Eva, could you see the shooter? Could you see where the shots were coming from? Can you describe for us what happened after, if you could see the aid that was rendered to Charlie Kirk?
So Emma and I dropped to the ground, so we didn't see with our own eyes. Charlie hit the ground, we saw him fall, but it looks like the shot came and it hit, he was facing us, and it looks like it hit the left side of his neck. And so where we were, though, it's interesting, it's kind of like a stadium. So it was a big bowl. It was a big bowl, so Charlie normally his platforms is he's just sitting on the side of like the pavement and everyone's at eye level with him. But with this, he was more down lower, and then everyone was around him and like.
You're taking a live look, aerial shots of where this shooting took place. Now, here's the thing. Even though investigators and police have an idea of where those shots took place, they do not have the shooter in custody. Earlier, we did have reports that there was a person in custody, but that person is not the suspect, is not the shooter. So whoever is responsible for this has not been caught just yet. So that is what is happening right now. Very much an active investigation. But again, learning that conservative activists, longtime Trump ally Charlie Kirk has died after a shooting on a college campus. Now, he was the founder of Turning Point USA. He's 31 years old, leaves behind 2 children. Trump has credited him with mobilizing the youth vote and saying that he was an integral part in that 2024 victory. Now, important to note, these Turning Point USA events, they have long attracted protest and controversy, often drawing petitions calling on universities to cancel the event. We do know that the event today did have a petition close to 1,000 signatures, but the university, of course, deciding to go along with this event, citing First Amendment rights. But again, Charlie Kirk shot and killed at Utah Valley at this university event. That shooter has not been caught. We also know that according to witnesses, there actually was not a lot of police at the scene there. Former Utah Congressman Jason Chavez was at the event and said Kirk did have some security, but it didn't appear to be a large amount of security around him. Some people even saying that they didn't even check tickets for the event. So a whole lot more to come as we continue to learn details on what happened that led to Charlie Kirk being shot and killed at this event. Nicole.
Just horrific what happened. Janice, thank you.
Now, according to reports, far-right activist Charlie Kirk was having a debate at a Utah university at an event. And as he was taking a question as related to mass shootings and gun violence, an assassin allegedly fired a shot, hitting Charlie Kirk in the neck and killing him. And after Charlie Kirk was assassinated in this incident, this is where America got into a firestorm of controversy regarding his death. Now, when I take a critical look at the death of Charlie Kirk at the hands of this assassin, it really makes me think about the Word of God and what God said in the New Testament about how he is not mocked, and as a man shall sow, he shall reap. And that's what I believe happened here with Charlie Kirk, this far-right conservative activist. This man basically sowed seeds into the ground of hate and division, making all sorts of claims about black people, looking to make us into scapegoats. And as he sowed this hate, it basically grew up into thorns and briars and basically wound up choking out his own life. That's basically what happened here with Charlie Kirk. And he basically proved Jesus' point that we shall know them by their fruits, and by the fruits of this man's thorns and briars. Basically, this is what led to his own demise, his hatred of black people, because the last words out of his mouth as he was dealing with that question about mass shootings was to go and start talking about black gangs and sitting there spreading misinformation. And I have to say it is misinformation where this conservative activist was sitting there talking about black gangs, but didn't want to talk about the CIA and how the CIA created those black gangs in the 1960s and 1970s. And that's where Charlie Kirk was basically being disingenuous as he was founding his organization, Turning Point USA, looking to turn masses of young people towards the far right, turning them towards the far right and not looking to make these young people understand the Word of God, but look to follow the religion of white supremacy. And as this idolater went out here looking to get people to follow the religion of white supremacy instead of the Word of God, I believe this is the thing that basically I believe angered God as related to his behavior, because as this man went out here spreading seeds of thorns and briars into America, looking to sow division among people, looking to focus on them on making black people into scapegoats regarding his talking points, such as saying things like the Civil Rights Act should not have been passed, and always looking to blame black people for the plight of the sad state of affairs of America. This man, again, was not looking to bear the fruit of looking to bring people to Christ or bring people to a better understanding of the peace and joy of God. No, what this man wanted to do was go out here and sow the seeds of hatred, and sow the seeds of hatred to make people into idol worshipers of the institution of white supremacy, and look to bear more thorns and briars and bear more souls that would be, again, more tears for the devil. And that's what basically I believe was what led to the whole demise of Charlie Kirk. Was he basically, again, went out here sowing these seeds of division and basically reaped those seeds as related to things. Because this man, again, as in his last words, were only talking about black people, and again wanted to make black people the face as related to his narrative. but didn't even understand that as he was at this rally, basically he was the one who led to his own demise, because he went out here again spreading those seeds of hatred. And what happened here is that, again, I go back to the word of God, when God said in his own word in the New Testament, again, God is not mocked, and as a man shall sow, he shall reap. And all that happened to Charlie Kirk was this man put tares into the ground, and he wound up becoming a victim of his own tares. And basically, like Haman, who had his own gallows looking to take out the Israelites, what happened to Haman was he wound up on his own gallows. And this is what happened to Charlie Kirk, I believe. He wound up on his own gallows because he wasn't killed by black people. No, he was killed by one of his own, inside of a predominantly white state of Utah. And again, this is the word of God coming fulfilled as related to somebody, again, being reaping what they sowed, later than what they sowed, and greater than what they sowed, as the late Charles Stanley used to talk about in many of his sermons. And this is the bitter harvest that those who follow the religion of white supremacy just can't handle. And it can't handle it to the point where they've gone into the point where they've looked to try to martyr this man and try to make him into an idol, further compounding the sin that they have participated in, because what Charlie Kirk was doing, again, was sinful by, again, not looking to bring people to the Word of God and come to an understanding about Christ. No, he was looking to, again, look to use his organization not to bear the fruit of God, but to spread those thorns and briars, and again, spread those thorns and briars. And this is what God was not pleased with this man that is flying over the heads of most of these racists. And I'm not going to say white people, but I'm going to say racists, because these far-right racists, again, these individuals are spellbound and caught up in their own religion, again, serving an idol as related to themselves, and looking to go out here and continue to talk about black people as related to an event we had absolutely nothing to do with. That's what I found to be mind-boggling. I found it to be completely mind-boggling that even with the death of this idolater, these racists still are sitting here talking about black people, sitting here talking about black people, even though the killer in this situation was white. It happened in a predominantly white state, and everything is pointing to it, again, being this man reaping what he sowed, later than what he sowed, greater than what he sowed, as related to the hateful rhetoric that he spread all throughout things as related to his obsession that many of these racists had after Barack Obama became the president. That's the thing that triggered a guy like Charlie Kirk, was when he heard Barack Obama became the president of the United States. This is where he felt he needed to take action, but not take action as related to, again, looking to bring souls to Christ and bear the good fruit of the Lord. No, what this man wanted to do was go out here and, again, look to go out here and try to talk about everything negative about black people without ever looking at the plank in his own eye, but only looking at the mote in the eye of the black community. That's what this guy did, basically, as related to his behavior. And again, this behavior, I believe, what happened is, again, grieved God, and he let this pattern of events basically happen, again, tragically, again, in this situation, because, again, God is not mocked, and again, as a man shall sow, he shall reap. And this is what happened in this event. But what's even sadder is, even after the death of this man, this is where the nation went into, again, showing us the whole situation that shows us how evil white supremacy is. Because I sat there and watched as this nation basically said, oh, we're going to go out here and again try to make this man into an idol, make this man into saying things like he's on the level of someone like Martin Luther King. Again, this is basically showing the insanity, as some would say, as related to white supremacy. Again, you're looking to revise the narrative on an individual as related to them to make them into more of a hero than they actually were. Again, showing me how many racists, again, live not in the real world, but live in a rose-colored reality that looks and feels like our world, but everything is completely distorted, because only a person with a distorted frame of view as related to the world could go out here and look to say that this man was some sort of hero, when all he was doing was looking to, again, go out here and look to debate people as related to trying to win arguments as related to his racist talking points, where he looked to talk people down. And again, this is a grift that many racists participate in, because many racists, what they want to do is go out here and look to make money by going out here by selling this whole racial argument. I mean, when I look at Charlie Kirk, he is no different than Al Sharpton. Again, when I look at both of them, they're both looking to hustle people. And the sad part is that people will sit there and listen, get in their emotions about the rhetoric, and not see the real logic of the big picture. No, they won't see the real logic of the big picture, because their God is white supremacy, even though God himself said he is not a man. And these men basically have transposed their idea of God onto an institution made by men and made into an entity made by men, which is the institution of white supremacy. And we see by the thorns and briars that these are the fruits that they bear. We see that these are the thorns and briars that they bared as related to this situation. And I wouldn't put it past the Orange Man to talk about how we need to make a holiday called Charlie Kirk Day, because the whole thing is with these racists, again, they go out here and look to revise history so that we don't see the truth. We don't see the truth about reality, because many of these white supremacists, many of these racists, they don't live in reality. And what really, again, boggled my mind, but I understood to be true as they revised the narrative on Charlie Kirk, was how quickly they basically changed the story as related to this man to try to tell us all that this man basically was this hero. And basically, as they looked to threaten to, as they went out here and fired people for talking about this man's death, again, the only reason why they did that is because this was a white man who was being criticized and mocked, even though, again, what was happening was he just reaped what he sowed, later than what he sowed, greater than what he sowed in the eyes of God, I believe. Because, again, when you go out here and you sow seeds of division among God's children, and you take those children away from God, this is, again, something that's completely egregious. And that's what was happening here with this man. He wasn't bringing people to Christ. He wasn't using his platform to bear good fruit. And again, the thorns and briars he put into the ground, the seeds that he sowed, the seeds of hatred and division, were the thing that wound up consuming him. And that's what flies over the heads of most of the racists out here who want to live in their rose-colored reality, like I talk about in my novel Spellbound, where they want to have their smooth world, a smooth world where they want to live with their obsession with black people. That's what I saw with Charlie Kirk, a man who was just completely obsessed with black people, to the point where all he could do is talk about black people, even in his last dying words, and talking only about black people as related to the fantasy that fit into that smooth world, that reality that he basically created, a completely distorted picture that basically many of these racists are looking to get everyone to continue to buy him about black people, but shows me again how this man's mind was twisted by the devil. And as it was twisted by the devil, he basically again went out here sowing all of that hatred and division. And again, that was the thing that again was, again, the thing that led to his demise. And sadly, he just didn't want to look at that picture of his life and look at the picture that he had done as related to things, because he was so caught up in his idea of black people, he couldn't see the real world around him and couldn't get others to see the real world around him, because he was living in a distorted picture. And the sad part is that that distorted picture of life is basically being pushed by the mainstream media, who still are sitting here, again, focused on black people, when this man's killer was basically a white man. And that's the saddest part of this whole situation. It shows how racism is the problem here in America that nobody wants to deal with. Nobody wants to see how racism is costing this nation its soul and keeping it from being a great nation. This is the thing that's destroying this nation, but nobody wants to see it because they're so caught up in white supremacy. They can't see the truth about themselves and the mirror that is being held up during this time, because I always believe with this Orange Man's second term, it's another look in the mirror as related to ourselves, and a look in the mirror at who we are that Americans don't want to look at as related to who we are, and see the truth about the America that really is there. Now, if you want to see me make more videos, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can also find them at other online booksellers at all over the internet. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.